Welcome to Week in Minutes. Have a nice day. Today is Monday, 1st of September 2025. Starting the news of analysts with the world news, including ships carrying aid activists and celebrities to set sail from Barcelona to Gaza. World's 10 safest countries revealed. Iceland takes the top spot. Macron's decision to recognize a Palestinian state in September angers Israel, United States. Australia government condemns anti-immigration rally in Sydney. Trump says voter ID must be a part of every single vote. Ever plans to ban meal in ballots. Vice President arrives in China's Tianjin for Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit to hold talks with the Xi Jinping. Now from the Hindu newspaper, we have great Thunberg joins of flotilla heading for Gaza with aid. Thousands of supporters gathered at Barcelona's port to see all the boats, and many of them waving Palestinian flags and chanting "Free Palestine." And it is not a war; it is a genocide. Swedish activist Great Thunberg gestures while departing with other activists on the Global Summit Flotilla, a humanitarian expedition to Gaza at the port of Barcelona, Spain on August 31st, 2025. Climate campaigner Greta Thunberg joined a flotilla of boats loaded with the aid for Gaza as they set sail from the Barcelona on Sunday, August 31st, 2025, aiming to go break Israel's naval blockade and deliver food and humanitarian supplies to the shattered enclave. Thousands of supporters gathered at Barcelona's port to see off the boats. Many of them waving Palestinian flags and chanting "Free Palestine," and it is not a war, it is a genocide. This is a mission to challenge the extremely violent businesses as a usual international system that is failing to uphold international law. Ms. Thunberg, who told the crowd before the departure of the flotilla of dozens of boats said to be joined by more along the way. Global Summit Flotilla, a humanitarian expedition Gaza led by activists including the Great Thunberg, departs from the port of Barcelona, Spain on August 31st, 2025. The Swedish campaigner tried unsuccessfully to break Israel's long-standing naval blockade of Gaza by sailing to the territory in June with the other activists. Israeli forces seized their small aid ships and they were deported from Israel. Xi meets Maldives President Muzu, calls for deepening ties with the effective implementation of FTA. Muzu said Maldives is willing to work with China to expand cooperation in areas such as trade, investment, housing, construction, and tourism. China's President Xi Jinping speaks during a bilateral meeting with the Maldivian President Mohamed Muzu ahead of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit 2025 in Tianjin, China, August 31st, 2025. Chinese President Xi Jinping met Maldives President Mohamed Muzu in Tianjin on Sunday, August 31st, 2025, and called for deepening bilateral ties with the effective implementation of the Free Trade Agreement. The two leaders met on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit being held in Tianjin on Sunday. Israel kills Hamas spokesperson as hospitals report dozens killed in the Gaza city. Obeida is the latest Hamas representative targeted and killed by Israel as it attempts to dismantle the group's military capacity. Trucks drive Gaza towards Israel, as seen from the Israel side of the border, August 31st, 2025. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz announced on Sunday, August 31st, 2025, that a spokesperson of Hamas for Hamas armored wing, Obeida, was killed in Gaza over the weekend. Obeida's last statement was on Friday on Israel began the initial stages of a new military offensive in Gaza City, declaring the area a combat zone. Hamas has not commented on Israel's claim. Now from Hindustan Times newspaper, we have Prime Minister Modi raised cross-border terrorism in talks with the Xi Jinping Ministry of External Affairs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi raised the issue of the cross-border terrorism in his bilateral meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping earlier today. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said on Sunday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi exchanges a handshake with the Chinese President Xi Jinping during an official reception for the head of the state and the head of the government at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin on Sunday. India hopes Myanmar election will be fair and inclusive. Modi to junta chief. Prime Minister Narendra Modi bilateral meeting with the acting president and military chief of Myanmar, Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, on SCO sidelines in Tianjin on Sunday. New Delhi hopes the upcoming elections in Myanmar will be fair and inclusive with the involvement of all stakeholders. Prime Minister Narendra Modi told the head of the Myanmar's ruling junta, Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, when they met on the margins of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in China. Hlaing, chairman of the State Security and Peace Commission of Myanmar, is among the leaders invited as a special guest to summit by China. The unrest in Myanmar since the military ousted the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi in 2021 has triggered concern in India, especially in a view of the security implications for the country's northeastern region. Modi told Hlaing that India attaches importance to its ties with Myanmar as a part of the Neighborhood First Act, East and Indo-Pacific policies. He expressed the hope of that for forthcoming elections in Myanmar will be held in a fair and inclusive manner involving all stakeholders, the External Affairs Ministry said in a readout. Educate Girls NGO winners Raman Magsaysay Award 2025 becomes the first Indian organization to get the honor. Educate Girl is the first Indian organization to win the 2025 Raman Magsaysay Award. Popularly known as Educate Girls, the Foundation to Educate Girls globally has made a history as the first Indian organization to get honored the Raman Magsaysay Award. Foundation RMAF said in a statement, individuals from India have won the prize in the past. Regarded as Asia's equivalent of Nobel Prize, the Raman Magsaysay Award honors individuals and organizations demonstrating exceptional courage and selfless service to the people of Asia. The other 2025 winners including Shanina Ali from the Maldives for environmental work and Flaviano Antolino Vinilio from the Philippines for his effort to uplift the poor and marginalized. Each awardee will receive a medallion bearing the likeness of President Raman Magsaysay, a citation and a cash prize, the foundation said. Now, from the economy of the country, from the business point of view, a unified lending interface to be a big boon for artificial intelligence players in financial services. According to Joy Dip Gupta, head of Asia Pacific and Synaptic Artificial Intelligence Chief Operating Officers of banks are really looking forward to artificial intelligence to make their operations very efficient. Joy Dip Gupta, a PhD head Scientific AI. Disposable income of households to be significantly higher this year, CEA. According to the chief economic advisor, online sales and digital transactions need to be monitored to better understand the state-private consumption in the country. Chief economic advisor V. Anantha Nageshwaran. Government extends important duty exemption on cotton till December 31st as 50% of United States tariffs come into the effect. The import duty exemption on cotton has been a long-standing demand of the Indian industry, but the government has maintained it as 11% duty largely to protect the small cotton farmers. Notably, cotton was among the 4 items that saw the sharpest increase in a minimum support price MSP by the government in May month this year, as the cotton production has been declining over the years. Now, going to science and tech, we have rural women are at higher risk of violence and less likely to get help. For largely numbers of women and children, particularly in the rural areas, living and ending up in a safe place is a complex ongoing process, and for some women and children, it is one that never ends. rural areas having higher rates of violence against women than the suburban and urban. I have been teaching a course on rural criminology since 2014, and most of the students are surprised by information on the violence against women present to them. Due to the lack of media attention to rural areas, my students comes to class with the impression that all the countryside and small towns are safer than the urban and suburban locals. In reality, rates of violent crime are often higher in many rural communities, and at times there are even more silence around it. 44 died of TB this year on Mizoram, officials said. A total number of 463 people have died due to the disease, more than 5 years since 2020. 31 people lost their lives due to the tuberculosis in 2020, 46 in 2021, 87 in 2022, and 119 in 2023, and 136 in 2024. At least 44 people have died of tuberculosis, and 1,492 have been diagnosed with the disease in the Mizoram in the current year, so far, officials said on Saturday. SpaceX, the pressure gained that could redefine the plot. Starship is too large, too ungainly, and too audacious to remain an abstract engineering project. To watch it is anthropomorphizes it almost by necessity. The Starship mega rocket lifts off on its 10th test flight from the SpaceX. On a humid Texas evening on August 26, after many weather delays and ground system hiccups, the world's largest rocket finally rose from its bed as a part of Flight 10. The 379 feet tall Starship survived launch, nailed important checkpoints, and splashed down as a planet. It was a technical success as a kind of personal vindication for a vehicle often introduced to the world is less like an unthinking machine than like the protagonist of an unfolding saga. Starship first 9 flights inched forward through explosions, abrupt cutoffs, and shred prototypes in January month and March this year. Two upper stage Starships failed within 10 minutes of launch. A third attempt in May month flew further but ended with the spacecraft breaking apart during the re-entry. In June month, another Starship detonated on a test stand, scattering wreckage and drops in equal measure. For a lesser vehicle, such missteps might have been fatal to funding or public patience. India's push for ethanol mixed fuel sparks driver backlash, leaves car makers scrambling. The government says E20 lowers carbon emission, but has conceded in press statement addressing consumer worries that there could be marginal hit on fuel efficiency of old cars. The Ministry of Petroleum and Road Transport did not respond to requests for comment. Now, at last, there's a famous quotation said by a famous Indian writer who is known by his famous name Rabindranath Tagore, who was born on the May 7, 1861 up to 7 August 1941, was a Bengali polymath who worked as a poet, writer, playwright, composer, philosopher, social reformer, and a painter of the Bengal Renaissance. He reshaped Bengali literature and music as well as the Indian art with a contextual modernism. In the late 19th and early 20th century, he was the author of the profoundly sensitive fashion way of poetry of Patanjali. In 1913, Bhatt Tagore became the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in any category and also the first lyricist to win the Nobel Prize in literature. Tagore's poetic songs were vivid as a spiritual and mercurial. His elegant prose and magical poetry were widely popular in the Indian subcontinent. He was a fellow of the Royal Asiatic Society, referred to as the Bard of the Bengal. Tagore was known by the Subriquets Gurudev, Kobi Guru, and Biswa Kobi. Tagore modernized Bengali art by spreading rigid classical forms and resisting linguistic structures. His novels, stories, songs, dance dramas, and essays spoke to the topics political and personal. Gitanjali song offerings, Gora, Favorite Face, and Curry Buddy, The Home and the World are his best known works, and his verse, short stories, and novels were acclaimed or panned for their lyricism, colloquialism, naturalism, and unnatural contemplation. His compositions were chosen by two nations as the national anthem, India's Janagramana and Bangladesh's Amar Son Har Bangla. The Sri Lanka national anthem was also inspired by his work. His song Banglar Mati Bangla Chol has been adopted as the national anthem of West Bengal. Tagore says a very famous quotation as he says that faith is the food that feels the light and sings when the town is still dark. He also says that once again his faith is the bird that feels light when the town is still dark. Okay, thank you.